name is Optimus Prime.
I don't care.
Huh?
I have sworn to never kill humans. He's going to die. Hooah!
Algorithms! Math! Why can't we make what we want to make the way we want to make it?
Normies, you heard it up top. We are back for another Transfor-May, the fourth installment of the Michael Bay Transformer film franchise. We're talking Transformers, Age of Extinction. Things are about to get a little dusty out here. We talk some dinos. With your hosts, Colin Yeager. I'm just a Texas inventor, y'all.
I like Colin Yeager. I'll be Mike Locke. I don't know.
Well, I was going to be Jacob Yeager, so...
Perfect. You're my daughter.
It's a family movie. Yeah. But we're also joined by a special guest. You want to introduce yourself?
Ratch Adam.
Wow.
Nice. Are you going to make it through the end of this show?
So dirty.
I don't know. I think it's my time to go.
Yep, so we have a friend of the show, Adam. He's been on a couple other times for some Star Wars and Alien and some other great episodes. Be sure to check them out. And also, do you want to tell us a little bit about your other show, The Cargo Bay?
Wow. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure to be here. I know a little bit less about Transformers than I know about Star Wars. But yeah, currently doing a show on Twitch called The Cargo Bay, where my co-host BC Ness and I open budget trading cards, non-sport budget trading cards. Just got a subscription to Non-Sports magazine, which is like the dream for your dad to find, like growing up. Is the non-sports.
Kay Yeager would not be having it. Yeah.
And that's the magazine that's still in print for all non-sport trading cards.
So
anyway,
that's full. BC, we've seen him open some hockey cards on this. I know that for sure. All three of us here, we are huge fans of your show. We love to check that out every Tuesday night. The Cargo Bay, Normies, check it out.
That's
right.
Love
Adam from this show. Adam, are you going to be doing some Transformer cards? Are there Transformer cards?
Oh my gosh. Since you guys were so kind to have me on for this excellent movie, I did my homework. I found out that the trading cards for this movie came out only in Europe, but simultaneously in the US, they released a trading card game.
No way.
I'm all vaxxed up now, and I went to the Card Mecca in Los Angeles. Frankensons is a giant convention. I got this ridiculous. This is a trading card. It's like the size of a I don't know
And
inches.
some shiny already, some holographics.
6x8. This card.
Yeah.
And then it comes with decks, and then I got standard first movie packs, but they were not easy to come by.
Wow. So you found yourself a Transformer, just like Kay Yeager. It's incredible.
Look, you're going to get some classic scenes in those cards, Adam. You're going to get, I think we found a Transformer. You're going to get going through the movie theater, scavenging for junk. I mean, this is a movie loaded with cinematic scenes for a trading card.
Absolutely.
Hey,
and for listeners, longtime listeners of the show, we usually drop these on Tuesdays, very early in the morning, 12 a.m. And if you are listening to this early enough, you can catch the live broadcast of the Cargo Bay this evening. And if you're watching this on YouTube later, catch next week's episode.
And it's very confusing because the Twitch address is twitch.tv/elegantweapon. Elegant Weapon. That's not confusing at all, but you can just search the Cargo Bay on YouTube.
Well, if you're watching Transformers, you can probably handle a little confusion. And the other thing to note is there are giveaways, of which I am a winner, and I have a great Obi-Wan Kenobi Clone Wars card that I won as just for being a viewer. So go and check it out, guys.
Check it out, Normies. Raffle every show, right?
That's right. Big time money cards. So cards that can put you through college. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I'm already done with college, so it's just all profit. Yeah. But happy to have you. And then I guess, this is our fourth Transfor-May. There happen to be 5 Tuesdays in May, and there's 5 main Transformers movies. So you made it for Age of Extinction. Let's ask you then, what's kind of your history with the Transformers property, franchise, and more specifically the Michael Bay movies that we've been covering these past weeks?
Oh boy. Well, I'm so excited you guys are dragging yourselves through another huge franchise, one after the other. It's one of my favorite things to listen.
Thank you.
You know, Transformers hit, like, I feel like right as nerd culture was becoming mainstream. Like, this was kind of the surge of that. And I was there for it. I was excited. You know, I loved anything that, you know, I defined myself by being a nerd. And I watched the first one and thought it was great, but apparently not that great. Like, it meant a lot to me when I saw it, I thought, and then I never saw any of the others. My biggest exposure to Transformers is an old YouTuber called Silverbolt Toy Reviews, or at least I think that used to be it. I might have changed his YouTube channel name. You know, this was like back from 2006 on. He would do these 15-minute toy reviews of Transformers that were mostly just like lore videos.
Nice.
And I had no exposure to Transformers, but those videos calmed me down so much. It was like ASMR somehow, just like very earnest reviews.
Nice.
So I watched hours of those, and that's kind of it.
Amazing.
That's all I have for Transformers.
So the first film, and then we got you to come on for it. The fourth film, which isn't really a reboot per se, but it's kind of a restart of the lore. We no longer have Shia LaBeouf, no Megan Fox, and you know a lot of the mainstay characters aren't here.
They both died in the War of Chicago. Is that how that went?
If that was what you picked up on as a viewer, not knowing the others, just seeing the memorial billboards, why not?
Why doesn't it say
Why
Sam
not?
Witwicky on there? Yeah. They just show that, you know.
And actually, Megan Fox died even before that, or died off of the franchise, right?
And after the second movie, so she was in the first two. Then we had a new girlfriend for Sam Witwicky in the third movie, and now we have a whole new cast of human characters and a couple returning robots.
Well, we got a guy that
Extinction.
doesn't date, Mike. We got a guy whose whole rule is nobody's dating in this movie, so it's kind of feminist if you think about it.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say
Definitely.
Cade Yeager's kind of obsession with his daughter and just his overprotectiveness almost borders on a creepy level, don't you?
Obsession, maybe.
Oh, he wants to have sex with her, Jacob. We'll get all into that. Adam, my last question for you: Michael Bay films. Do you like The Rock? Do you catch what is that? 6 Underground on Netflix? Have you seen
The Bad Boys?
The Island?
Pain and Gain.
No,
Pain and Gain.
No, I never really watch Michael Bay movies. I don't know. It's not usually what I go in for, but when I'm there, I'm enjoying it. You know, I enjoy like robot fights, especially when it's a distraction from like really boring plot. Like I can get jazzed for a minute, but I don't have much Michael Bay experience. You know, I feel like.
But when
I
you're eating a
recognize his
buffalo
stuff.
chicken pizza, you're enjoying it. You're not enjoying what happens after that, right?
Right,
No.
right. Well, usually I remember a good buffalo chicken pizza. This was so. I rewatched some of the movie today. I've been through the Wikipedia like 3 or 4 times trying to be prepared for this conversation because I could not process that whole film.
Oh, it's impossible. Yeah.
It's kind of incredible.
And it was an interesting experience, just dropping you into the middle of an established franchise that
That's what we wanted.
you've
sometimes
never
cares
seen-
about its own continuity, sometimes doesn't. So.
Right. So you haven't seen 2 and 3, Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon. So
I
you're
have
just coming in
not.
fresh.
I mean, I've listened to the podcast, so I have that context.
So you're an expert, right?
Yeah.
All you need.
Well, I'm ready to jump in. So I say, we're here with Adam, a.k.a. one of the hosts of the Cargo Bay, not a Michael Bay fan, but we're going to try to do what we can and talk Age of Extinction here on Normies Like Us.
Hey,
Let's
Michael
do
Bay,
it.
you're welcome on the Cargo
Roll out.
Bay anytime.
Yep.
Hey, Lucas Flannery.
Place has been in the family since 28. Granddaddy ran it all his life, ain't that right, Granddaddy? Real soon, he's gonna sign it over to me.
The movies nowadays, that's the trouble. Sequels and remakes, bunch of crap. I love that one. Oh,
He's deaf and senile.
heard that.
Now, these just need some spit and polish. I believe they're digital, possibly IMAX. Yeah, they're not. Mister, we'll have a look around if you want to leave us to it, okay?
You know, folks used to come from miles around to see the dancing girls with the big cha-chas.
Swear to God, I am one diaper change away from poisoning his oatmeal. Hey, you hang in there, buddy. Coming here makes you feel young again. You tell this kid to bring you here every day. $7, I keep talking.
Sold.
We're back. The age of Normie is upon us. We're about to talk Age of Extinction, the Michael Bay film, the fourth Transformers here for Transfor-May. Confession time. Adam, I am so happy you just said up at the top that you barely remember this movie. I made a tragic mistake on this one, fellow hosts. Now, usually, I watch these films right before we record. I got a tight schedule recently. I get the cram in. I come in. We talk about it. It disappears. Now, I watched this film 2 days ago, and I feel like it is gone.
Sure.
So 2 days ago for you.
Yeah.
I was on a tight schedule this week, and I finished it literally 10 minutes before we started rolling. So it's all here. It's fresh, right? And then
it's going to disappear, though, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah. My schedule is kind of mixed between yours two because I had a tight schedule as well. I generally watch these because these are fucking 3-hour long movies.
Oh, my God.
I generally start them Friday or Saturday night, watch an hour, come back the next day, watch an hour, and then I usually finish it, right before we record, which is what I did today.
Could not do that.
This movie's 2 hours and 45 minutes long.
But in chunks? What is that? That is just, that would be like Gray Frankenstein smashing things. No, I wouldn't be able to remember any of it.
It's the anti-binging strategy. And then, Adam, when did you watch this? And then you tried to watch more of it and did research? I mean, thank you
I'm just I'm trying to put the pieces back together. I watched it on Saturday night, and, started at around 9:30. Was like, oh, let's watch that Transformers movie. Here we go. And then saw that it was 2 hours and 45 minutes, which was horrifying. I don't know. I can get through 2 hours and 45 minutes, but when the comic relief dies at minute 45, I knew it was in for like a long haul. And watched it straight through. Didn't take any breaks. Wasn't miserable watching it. But it's all gone.
For me, it's like, the 2, 3, and 4 have been like this, where I can only stand them in about hour-long chunks, and then I have to just do something else.
Well, I have a confession to make, guys, because, we've been talking about, I said that this is probably the worst major studio franchise ever released. And I'm watching this, and I don't know if it's Stockholm Syndrome or if that many brain cells have died off in the process, but this, I think, was the most enjoyable one to watch. It's not good, but it's been the most enjoyable.
Kind of with you. We're at the point again where I feel like the same thing. We're in this stranglehold where I'm like, no, but that's my buddy Ratchet. He's my friend from the previous 3 films. He's my best friend. You can't get rid of Ratchet.
It's against the Geneva Conventions to kill a medic. I mean, come on.
That was crazy.
With spoilers for this movie.
Yeah, spoilers for this movie from 2014. I kind of agree with you guys. I'll give you a couple reasons why I think this one's better than at least 2 and 3.
Yes.
The Autobots, the secondary Autobots in this are better than any of the other ones, right? We can say that for sure.
Yeah, let's ask Adam how he feels.
John Goodman just saying "bitch" aggressively over and over. That's like
at one point he said
that was a lot.
Like a fat woman doing ballet dance.
I'm a fat ballerina, he says.
I didn't know.
In battle.
The thing you got to realize, Adam, is most of the ones before this were like just insane racial stereotypes.
Yeah, so they just didn't have lines,
right?
Yeah, exactly. They weren't characters.
Yeah,
and
I think
John Goodman one. You've got Samurai Guy, and you've got.
That's Ken Watanabe. That's Ken Watanabe.
Really right. Also, not saying the character names, calling them this one and that one. Hound.
No, I could not tell you what they're called.
Goodman. Drift was the name of the samurai, Ken Watanabe, and then John DiMaggio, and I just want to bring him up real quick. As the one lookout or long shot, I think something like that. Green guy, who is the
quick scope, something like that. Crosshair, yeah, wow.
Crosshairs.
Expert.
Thank you so much, guys. Who is the Autobot paratrooper? So at this point, Michael Bay is like, what are the other positions in the military? And he's just going, paratrooper? That makes sense for something that weighs 1 billion tons. Absolutely.
Yeah, and the parachutes definitely are proportionate to his mass when he uses them. So,
I did not know what that guy's like specialty was supposed to be. I guess I just thought sniper, and then John Goodman's like the heavy artillery, and then
Right. He's shaped like a grenade, we should say. And has gigantic grenades.
And, comparing these designs to the first one and the first three, you can never tell anybody apart. And even though we don't know their names, like, we know what the characters are and their archetype. They have a personality that's not a terrible stereotype for the most part. And even the Decepticons now have, like, color to them. Or not the Decepticons, but the man-made robots. Like, you can distinguish them from one another, which we couldn't in any of the previous movies.
Totally.
So that alone helps.
And I really think there's been a gradual... Over time, they've become more human-like. Like, even Optimus Prime and Bumblebee have become more distinctive, I feel like. Whereas, in the first couple, they're just machines that, you can't tell any of them apart. Now they feel almost human. They've got more human faces, and they've got a lot more color to them and personality.
Like Lockdown is very human, too. But
I mean, Lockdown, again, has that human face, like the Leonard Nimoy we were talking about in the last one. Optimus has gotten a redesign. Every sharp edge has been rounded off. I don't know if you guys noticed that. He's a lot sleeker and thinner, too.
Bumblebee gets an upgrade.
Yes. Just, Adam, the thing, again, that we have been discussing is the jokes people made, the crumpled up aluminum that was the CGI of how these gigantic robots look. People brought it up, with Cyborg in Justice League. That looks like Megatron. You saw that shit a lot. How is it, coming into this movie, a 2014 movie, we should say, so a couple years out, the special effects, does this fucking work for you? The CGI, all that garbage?
It was kind of fun to me because the look of the first Transformers, I felt like kind of distilled a lot of like sci-fi concept art going on in the space. It just like kind of defines like an era, like a hyper-real like Pepsi can machine looks like the 2000s. Like Transformers from these movies look like whenever the first movie came out. What, like 2007? Is that?
I think 7 was the timeline.
Right.
We haven't been covering these every week.
So I don't know. I thought it was interesting when I was a kid. I was like, yeah, I mean, that's how they'd be, I guess, if they were real, like not having a ton of nostalgia for like the original transformations. Right. I don't know. They look all right now. It is just that thing of like, man, lacking personality visually for me to identify out of a crowd. Like,
that's probably an interesting take. So I want to ask you this then, because we have had trouble identifying them, and we kind of, the three of us, have said now we kind of can distinguish more in this movie in comparison. But do you have one that stood out? Do you have a favorite amongst the characters of this,
I mean, I guess I liked seeing Galvatron's big gun head, but for a while I was like, wait, is Crosshair? So is Crosshair the gun head? Is the gun head a good guy now?
Gunhead, actually.
Lockdown is the gun head.
Bounty hunter.
Yeah, I had total problems.
Galvatron is man-made Megatron. Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting, Adam, that you're coming in on this one because the transforming effects are a little different in this one, right? They invent this new thing called Transformium, where it's just like
they reverse engineer it. Come on.
Yeah. And it sort of reminds me of Iron Man, right? Where it's like by the third one, it's just like nanobots, and it's just like doing whatever. Like now the transforming effects, they're just like these particle effects, and then they become whatever, right?
It's how it feels to chew 5 gum, and it just becomes a robot. Yeah,
Jacob, you are
the
so
old
right.
Style more.
I miss the old style. The first movie we pointed out in our quest to watch all of these, it's like you are seeing things transform on screen. By the second one, they're like, Bumblebee, I'll meet you over there, and then a car pulls up, and you're kind of like, you sons of bitches.
They go behind something.
It's all off camera.
Now, Jacob, you can feel some guy coming in and being like, Michael, can I show you this? Can I show you what I made on the screen here? In MS Paint, if I drag 30 gray cubes over and then we just Photoshop him in as the car at the end, that's kind of the same thing, don't you think? And Michael Bay's like, yeah, that'll save us $2 million.
Yeah, I'm sure it did save money. That's one of the things I did not like about this movie. Overall,
that's just the bad guys, right? The good guys transform.
The man-made Transformers do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but it's just that whole nanobots thing where it's like I like the more primitive, the mechanical actually, they're actually transforming into something. That's what people want to see, I think, when they watch Transformers.
Yeah. And I mentioned earlier on, and then I'll throw this to you, Adam. In the early movies, like Optimus Prime was like 18,000 moving parts on the CG model, but now you can just turn the particle accelerator to 100 and then back to 0 in After Effects and take it apart. Put it back together. But we kind of have 3 sets of robots. We have, your main Autobots. We have the man-made, Galvatron and his crew that Stanley Tucci are doing, but then we do get the Dinobots, and they also transform, and I thought that was kind of cool. What do you think of the Dinobots in this, Adam?
I would have loved for the Dinobots to be the movie instead of the, that was just such a bummer as like, oh, we're going to Return of the King this stuff with the robot army. I just wanted to see more of them.
They were all over the marketing, and I had never seen this one. I mentioned, I made it to 3, stopped watching these. So this was the first time for me. And I expected to see more dinosaurs, but they're just like at the very end.
Well, the marketing, Mike, I should say, I remember the big poster and first image that came out from this. It's the one of Lockdown or Lockshot. What is his name? We should ratchet this down real quick.
Lockdown?
Lockdown, okay. Lockdown. I will stop calling him something else. Of Lockdown walking up, his giant ship in the background, Age of Extinction in IMAX. That was the big push. This was one of those huge IMAX converted movies. I don't know if it's because Hobbit was going around or whatever, but you're right. We don't get any of these fucking dinosaurs, not at all kind of what they're promising in the actual trailers itself. Jacob, this is it. This is the 4th movie of a conspiracy theory being webbed into this. And now we find out Transformers killed the dinosaurs.
Jacob, can you run us through the conspiracies that we've had the Transformers involved into this point?
Yeah. Well, we got originally... in the first one, I don't know if there was conspiracy in that, but
it's like Area 51.
Everything's made from Transformers, we find out.
So Area 51 is hiding the cube.
We've got Ancient Aliens in the second one, right? In the third one, we've got... What was the third one?
The moon landing was Transformers.
The moon, we can't go back.
That's right. And now they've been here since prehistoric times. And, okay, but I was also very confused about the Dinobots because they're also knights. But then when they started referring them as knights, I was like, I thought knights was like the next one, but they're knights that turn into dinosaurs. But Optimus was also one of the knights, but he was also a prime. I don't know.
There's a lot of nouns.
There's so much. You saying knights made me remember that Cade carries around a sword that is a gun for the entire movie fighting.
Adam, at one point he says, "This thing's gonna make me rich." Meaning what? You're going to sell that gun?
Into my invention.
He's like, I'm gonna patent this.
If he walked into a KB Toys, his life's dream would just explode in front of his eyes.
All of his inventions are just remote control robots. Yeah.
Jacob,
that don't work.
He builds robots. All right, we brought him up. We invoked
Human time. We invoked him.
Wahlberg's character. It is human time, Mike. Look, Shia is out. Pain and Gain has been made by this point. Okay, Michael has a new relationship, and he's bringing in the Wahlberg, and this is a fatal film. This is up there with The Happening for me, a movie I absolutely love, and I'll explain the M. Night of it all because I have a theory about this movie too, that involves M. Night Shyamalan here in a second. But he also plays a scientist in The Happening.
Yes,
Mark Wahlberg is not a scientist. He can't say lines like, "Oh my God, this transformer, you gotta hook up the jiggity jaggedy to reformat the flippity flop. Come on."
Yeah, anytime Mark Wahlberg is cast as a smart guy, like in The Happening or in this, I don't buy it.
Pain and Gain is probably his best role.
Yes,
and fun fact about that too is that Cade Yeager, originally Michael Bay wanted The Rock to play Cade Yeager.
That makes so much sense, dude.
Yeah, he's like, there was a scheduling conflict, so then he got Mark Wahlberg instead, the other Pain and Gain.
The Rock makes movies about how weirdly obsessed he is with his daughter's sex life. That is what those Hobbs and Shaw films are. That is the Tower movie he made, the family stuff, Mike, absolutely. Mm-hmm. This is a Rock role. And instead, what we get, and Adam, you not being a Michael Bay fan, what do you think when he's at sunset saying, "You can go out with your friends, but there better be no boys," and there's a gigantic American flag just waving behind him?
I mean, yeah, I took a lot of notes in the beginning of just like weird stuff and like kind of like creepy jingoistic stuff, and then eventually like it was just like a long sheet, and I was like, I'm not gonna dig back.
Filled a
through
legal
all
pad.
this. But it set the tone correctly that it was just immediately like, we're going to sexualize this girl and she is 17 years old, and that's going to be a major part of the movie. Like from here on out, that's like,
and
it made me very uncomfortable. It was super weird. And it reminded me, like the Transformers, it's like, oh wow, it really feels like 2007. Like every piece of this feels like I don't know, like we were.
Right.
It feels like a movie that came out right after 9/11 in the worst ways. So
totally, and it actually came out 13 years after 9/11.
Yeah, that's insane
to think about. But
Michael Bay really evolved as a storyteller by this point.
Oh, we need to mention probably the most insane scene ever put on film in cinematic history, right? Of course, I'm talking about Mark Wahlberg's daughter's boyfriend, who, first of all, both of these characters, the daughter and the boyfriend, I could not tell you their first names right now off the top of my head.
No,
true. No, me neither.
Sean, I think.
Sean. Are we sure this guy's not a long-lost Hemsworth brother?
I thought it was a Hemsworth.
I wondered that
too.
too. I wondered that too, my friends.
But yeah, so we have the boyfriend who's 20 years old dating Mark Wahlberg's daughter who's 17.
Mm-hmm.
And we have this insane scene where he pulls out a laminated card from his wallet explaining that under this certain specific statute of Texas law or whatever, that he's allowed to date an underage girl.
Romeo and Juliet laws, as long as they're at least 2 years apart with consenting, even if she's underage. Now, guys, Jacob, you were right.
Yeah.
This feels like a scene where Michael Bay's like, well, we've all done this. We've all pulled this card out. And you're like, no, I haven't.
We've all lived in Texas.
It's so specific that I just don't understand like why he thought this needed to be in the movie. Just make the boyfriend 18 or whatever, and it's not a problem. Or make the girl 18.
Well, I think that is I mean, it is just like it's a huge cultural thing and like a creepy rape culture thing that this is like a cool thing, and that's why there are tons of like rock songs that are just like, oh wow, she was just 17. You know what I mean, Paul?
What we're
like
doing.
that's a beloved like it's just so baked into the culture, and I guess at this point it's like, yeah, it is cool, bro. It's
well,
like,
let's get chilled up.
This is cool.
Let's say why it's happening. Now, Cade Yeager had this daughter in high school. He loved his wife. She's dead. But before she went, he promised her she would get that diploma without having a baby. And what that translated to him was she will never, ever interact with a boy. Now, again, you get the feeling that when Michael Bay is explaining this, he's like, oh my God, that's so powerful. What an arc for a woman. And the dad, I mean, that's so feminist that he's like really looking out for her. When really, it is just a guy making choices for a young woman.
And it's insane how much he comments on like the length of her shorts and then we have the boyfriend.
You got to set up the zooms, and the pants.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the funny thing is like, you're objectifying, this woman in your shot.
You're saying one thing but showing another, right?
Yes.
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Mixed messages.
Yeah.
And if I could say here, this is why this is kind of a fascinating specimen of Michael Bay's filmography to me, because it has all the hallmark weird things of all the previous Transformers movies, the objectification that's unnecessary, the weird stuff, the comic relief that's a little off. But it's like, weirdly, even with the Romeo and Juliet card, the most reserved when comparing it to the other films. Because if we
Sam
look at,
wanted to have sex more than anything, Mike. You're
but
right.
look at the shot on the stairs of number 3. That's far more egregious than anything we see here. Subject matter's still weird and uncomfortable, but it's like it's dialed back to where I don't feel
Michael
quite
Bay,
as gross as I did with the other ones.
he's learning, or he's attempting to learn from his from criticisms of him over the years, and he's attempting to change, but not really
sexual harassment seminar, Jacob. He's like, oh my God, did you hear what these people are telling women? That's crazy. Anyways, sweetheart, get over here. Honey, here's what we're going to do in the scene.
Right.
Yeah.
And, it's just insane. Like, the father-daughter relationship is not normal to me anyways, where the father is so overprotective, and then you have the boyfriend character the whole time who's like, oh, this is gonna be great later when I'm making out with your daughter, and then he's like, you're not allowed to do that
ever.
It's all very
that's their relationship. That's the buddy comedy of it. It's like
essentially
it's a very strange dynamic.
Yeah.
But I mean, luckily, to distract from that weirdness is the inventor weirdness. Like, if I can push things in that direction, just because I love that one time he fixed a refrigerator in town, and now is like an inventor.
The line between repairman and inventor is razor thin.
Well, it's blurry, Mike. Now, Jacob said it. He makes robots. That's sort of the winky. He's going to be great at Transformers. He already makes robots. He makes a mannequin that can move a paintbrush. That's basically a robot. Like,
yeah.
No, it's not.
Like Short Circuit was a better robot.
I prefer the Dexter's Lab version where you go into the shed and it's just like, whoa, yeah, this unexplainably this dude, this like guy has really cool stuff, but instead it's just like.
No, he's
it's very funny. It never pays off either, right? Is there a moment where he like invents his way out of a problem, or is it just
Adam? That is
basically him
so
just saying,
true.
"I'm going to take this alien technology and patent it like I did invent it." And
That's not how patents work.
That's the American
you
way.
get the idea that as an inventor, the tool he uses the most is a hot glue gun. Like from the things that you like see around his workshop, it's like, no, you're like a craftsman.
Right, and we know he's
hobbyist craftsman.
Yeah, he's a failed inventor. He's struggling to pay bills. He's behind on his, property payments.
No, Dad, you bought a truck? We're not going to be able to afford to live on this gigantic farm with all this property and these great cars and that huge American flag we all sit under all day.
Yeah, the picture of what being broke in the U.S. looks like compared to when we travel elsewhere. It's just like, wow, like here we are in this beautiful field, and
but we know that
it's really all that dude's fault. Like,
yes,
hey, bro, you deserve to be broke, man.
He's such a good-hearted guy. He's fixing people's basic appliances for whatever
That's
they can
right.
Pay what you think.
That's right. Yeah, I thought that was her doing that at first. But no, it's
would have been their character trait.
Lovable lead
personality or interest or anything like that. So.
No, but she's good at, she's the best stick woman, this side of the Mississippi. That's her only character trait.
That scene really made me upset.
Again, bad, but far from Michael Bay's worst. But he's fixing things for like donations, right? And he's trying to scrape by. And even TJ Miller's like, come on, what are you paying me for this one? He's like, you should be lucky you have a job. But it's like, but you don't pay me. How does that constitute a job? What should I be grateful?
And then TJ Miller, I think, pays for the truck that is Optimus Prime, right? Or pays for part of it.
Yeah.
And then also Mark Wahlberg pulls out the when you work for me, so any of your intellectual property that you created under me actually belongs to me thing. Seems like he's not a very good employer.
Google.
Remember this place when we were kids? How many girls do you think you brought here in high school?
I only remember one. Hey, heads!
Ow! Oh.
That's why you didn't make the varsity team.
All right. Go long. Leave it.
Well, but Jacob, that's because they're best friends. We know that because we're supposed to believe these two people who are probably 10 years apart in age went to high school together. Oh, how many girls did you bring to this theater? Oh, the only one that counted. Hey, you remember when I went to prom with my wife and we were all really young together? No.
Exactly. When they mentioned that, I'm like, am I supposed to believe TJ Miller went to high school with Mark Wahlberg? Apparently, yes, we are. But now that we mentioned TJ Miller, we had to mention his ultimate fate in this movie, which was extremely surprising to me. Probably the biggest twist of the movie for me. Because when I see TJ Miller, I'm like, okay, he's kind of an established name. He's going to be the comic relief or whatever.
They're palling around. He throws a football at him, hits him in the head, finds a football in the theater. I wonder if that'll come back later. But yeah, they're all buddies.
Probably not. Yeah, but 45 minutes into this movie, right? 45 minutes into this 2 hour and 45-minute movie, what happens? TJ Miller
vaporized.
Dies, right?
Well, stonified or something.
A graphic manner, he just gets completely obliterated into a metal statue or whatever. And that happens in front of everyone. And then 5 minutes later, I think everyone forgot about it. Mark Wahlberg forgot about his lifelong friend.
It's not the motivation that moves him. But normies, I want you all to check this out. This was the big thing I remember from when this film was made. I'm a big podcast fan. I remember listening to the Pete Holmes podcast.
Yep.
You made it weird. TJ Miller was a guest.
Yeah, I remember him talking about this movie.
Interview. Adam, they talk for 10 minutes. Hey, how are you, buddy? It's good to see you. Cool. You know, Pete Holmes does that pre-roll thing, so you hear them sort of coming in and settling in. Immediately, after 10 minutes, he goes, anyways, the thing I want to talk about here is, Michael, Mr. Bay, sir, if you're listening, I am so sorry for anything I have ever said against you. I apologize. You are a great man. You are a great filmmaker. And he goes on this huge, sprawling, I am so sorry speech. Now, Jacob, we talked about the Hitler stuff with our girl last time. She's not on this anymore. Fucking, it's hard to work for Michael Bay. TJ Miller has since, TJ Miller has since been canceled. Let's talk about this too. He's another one of our problematic boys.
Which is why I didn't mind when his character was killed, as much as the comic relief, but
right.
Yeah.
It was such a weird moment because I was like satisfied when he died, but also it just felt like a bad sign that it was like by comic relief this far in to this movie.
Right. Stanley Tucci picks it up a little bit later, luckily, but
yeah.
Side tangent, going back to rewatch Silicon Valley is going to be super weird.
Impossible.
Considering who the main stars of that are.
He's a goofball. Oh, yes, that show, Kumail, we're crossing fingers that you're a normal dude. But, yeah, you are right. That is
eternally.
Terrible. TJ, whatever it was, I don't think it was a threat from Michael Bay. He has since given these quotes where he's like, my relationship with Michael was very bipolar. We would be on set. He would scream at me, be funny. Say something funny, TJ. You're not being funny now. Make the Make-A-Wish kids laugh. You're not making them laugh, TJ. And he would say, I think this is the last fucking wish that they would want, Michael. Then cameras would stop rolling. He would say, hey, you want to go get sushi tonight or hang out or get a drink or something? He just said, this guy is a maniac. But then, to go on this big apology tour like he did, obviously, I don't think that's Michael Bay threatening his career. I don't think you can. Let's talk about this. This is his zenith. If he's getting a blank check for anything, it's the movie he made prior to this one, which is Dark of the Moon making $1 billion, and this one also making $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Highest
Maybe he's got power.
Of 2014.
It just, wow. Jacob, why this movie? But the idea that, because now we live in this Michael Bay world now where it's like, well, no, Michael Bay kind of still makes bad movies, but he still gets to get by making those bad movies because of these two Transformer movies, the last one we covered in this one. But at the time, I don't think he's making TJ Miller's life terrible and saying, I'm going to kill you or whatever if you don't apologize or you're done in Hollywood or whatever. I just think that's, you grow up and your agent or something tells you not to. He has since said, Michael Bay's fine or whatever. But it's this interesting thing of that's the closest we've kind of ever come to catching this guy. For as much as we've talked that Michael Bay hasn't gotten canceled, for as much as this podcast is an exploration of him. These past four, we've just been talking Bay, Mike.
Yeah, even like Megan Fox was explaining kind of that situation at one point. She's like, he's really hard to work for, Michael Bay. He'll yell, he'll get fucking crazy, right? It's called the Bayhem. But she's like, there's also something about when he's off set, he has like no social skills and he's just kind of weird that it's almost endearing. So it's like, yeah, he can be this kind of control freak maniac on set, but that's just kind of how he is when he's in the zone. But he's not going to be someone that's like, you'll never work in this town again, you piece of shit. Because as we know, Spielberg pulled the plug on Megan Fox. So
yeah, yes, because specifically about the Hitler comparison, which is, as a Jewish person, he probably wasn't a huge fan of that. We also have Hugo Weaving.
Jury's still out on Bay. We can't get him. Almost had him, boys.
Right. Hugo Weaving also kind of shit talked his role in the previous ones in an interview, and then he was not invited back. I don't think he really cared because for him it was a 2-hour voice job. He never met Michael Bay. So I was reading a little about his interview that interview, and it's very interesting. Like he basically just came into a studio, did 2 hours of voice work, and then that was his whole role in the movie. He didn't understand the lines he was even saying. So in that context, I understand why, he wouldn't be super proud of his work in that, But of course, instead we get Galvatron voiced by Frank Welker, who was the original voice of Megatron, right?
Yep.
So he's
and
reborn now.
we talked about this a little bit. Galvatron role originated by Leonard Nimoy. It was one of those things in the animated movie where, like I said before, to make all his kids cry, they're like, clean house, all new characters. And Megatron gets remade into a character named Galvatron, and Leonard Nimoy starts to voice him. A cool twist that it spins on that, Jacob, that it's Frank Welker. I'm just happy he'd be getting the same kind of paycheck that Peter Colin is as Optimus Prime. And it is closer to the character opposed to Optimus Prime saying things like, don't let him get away, kill him, wipe them all out, as we've criticized this entire podcast.
Bloodthirsty Optimus Prime.
So he gets a sword in this one, Jacob.
We'll get there. Can I ask Adam about kind of our setup here? Because I found this interesting, too, compared to Dark of the Moon and Revenge of the Fallen, where it's kind of just a MacGuffin. It's like the same three movies, kind of structurally, right? But this one, it's like mankind no longer trusts the Autobots. That's how Cade Yeager finds Optimus Prime. All the Autobots are hiding out. They're like, don't interact with the humans. They're going crazy. And Lockdown is working with Kelsey Grammer to basically hunt down and kill everything. And then the humans have reverse engineered the Transformium to create our own Transformers to replace them. We don't need their help anymore. So you kind of have the Transformers on the run, which I like that as a different kind of setup. But what do you think about kind of the general conflict here between Transformers, humanity, and the other players here?
Yeah, without having a ton of attachment to the characters, I was kind of just hoping for more like bad guy on screen time, right? So that's like what I was hoping for. That's what I was rooting for.
Right.
But the setup was way too like all over the place for me to have any feelings about it one way or the other. It's just like, man, there's a lot of stuff flying around. I think that ship looks cool. I'd like to see that one more. Like,
I think
fingers crossed.
Lockdown, so this was what I was going to say about reasons I like this movie. The secondary Autobots are cool, or better than the other ones. And Lockdown, the Cybertronian bounty hunter, who's working with Kelsey Grammer's Black Ops team to hunt down Autobots and Decepticons. I guess he's kind of staying out of their conflict, right? But I thought that character was really interesting and really cool for this movie, like for these movies anyways. What do you guys think?
Because he's like Decepticons, Autobots. I don't care about any of it, right? I'm just trying to get
just doing
my
his
one
job.
target. As I try to find Optimus Prime, I'll give you these body parts and do whatever you want with them, right?
Yeah, it was confusing too, because like knowing the motivations of these robots was really hard, because it's like, oh no, we don't trust humans anymore, and yes, now save them, and all the infighting. I was like, who? I could not figure out what the antagonist was doing. Like, what's the antagonist objective? Like, of course you want Optimus dead, but
so
what else?
I'm so confused.
Adam, so
True.
5 years ago, right, there's the War of Chicago, right? And that was what was in the third movie depicted.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare contextualize this for
Yes.
Actually, I was kind of confused too, because this is the first one where the government is actually the bad guy.
Yes.
And in 5 years, they go from, the military and the government working with the Autobots to distrusting them so much that they're hunting down every Transformer on Earth. But my question is, what happened to the government? Where's Francis McDormand? Where's Josh Hamill? Where are these people?
Sector 7, quote unquote, people who we had the relationship with before. And then Mike just mentioned him, Kelsey Grammer, the head of Cemetery Wind, I believe they're called, the people who hunt Transformers.
Yeah.
Like who gave him this authority where he has so much power, this Black Ops team, that they almost just murder Daughter Yeager.
Jacob, he talks to Thomas Lennon, who keeps saying, I'm going to have to tell the president what you're doing in 2 scenes. Obviously,
That's right.
there's
got
a
a
whole
warrant.
Obama's a bad guy.
Yeah, my face is my warrant. You know, they're really abusing their power out here.
Right. This doesn't seem constitutional.
But this is the thing too. Like this is very anti-Bay because normally in the last 3 movies and even the first movie, Adam, Michael Bay is aggrandizing kind of the U.S. military. He gets all the technology for free. He has beauty shots. It's very patriotic. But in this one, the government's the bad guy, which is like the opposite of what I've been seeing in all of these movies.
It's a total tonal shift from what the government was doing. Even in the third one, they're like, okay, we're gonna have to stop working with the Autobots and send them away.
But that's a bad guy, shitty character. Like no one likes him in the military. He's just a
and they're
suit.
supposed to learn.
The troops love the Transformers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's who'd taken over our government, man. That's Optimus has. I think Optimus has a line, "Let's go get our freedom back" or something.
He says, "I'm giving you freedom" as he slaps a dinosaur in the face.
Easily. It's like,
And then he puts the sword to the dinosaur's horn and says, "Or I'll kill you."
Right.
Well, we haven't even talked about how the movie opens with Cade watching his daughter almost shot in front of him and being like,
"Oh yeah."
I don't like that's
what I mean. It's like you can't just kill an American citizen. Like, it's insane. And then they hate this what are they fucking called, Transformers, so much that they're hunting down Optimus Prime, but they're working with another Transformer, the bounty hunter Lockdown. It's just very strange setup where it's like Optimus has worked with the government for years. Like there should be some people in the government that still are on his side, right?
He's literally saved the world 3 times.
But, you know, I think these people have the same brain issue we have, where if you're not constantly telling them what happened previously, it's not going to happen. Because I wanted to ask you guys, how does that third one end? Megatron dies? I don't even remember that happening.
He kills the Fallen. Megatron dies.
It's the second one.
Right? No. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Dark of the Moon?
He kills
Leonard Nimoy dies. Yeah, Sentinel Prime. Yeah. They all have dumb names. Sentinel Prime, Leonard Nimoy gets killed, and Megatron gets killed because he tries to help. Because he's like, oh, you're going to be Sentinel's bitch, remember? You know, Sam Witwicky's girlfriend negs him into action.
Harley.
Yeah,
but
so
then
he
they
dies.
all just sort of salute and say, "We did it, America." Why
they
is
say
there
sometimes our friends may not be able to be trusted, but we'll be here to listen to Linkin Park, and it's like some bullshit wrap up message.
5 years later, you know,
fuck you, Optimus.
We're all in hiding now. Yeah,
he's a fugitive on the run. Also, Optimus Prime cuts Megatron's face in half in the third one, but then they're using his head in this one. It's a full head that Stanley Tucci is using to, you know, make.
I'm still figuring out where they got Darth Vader's helmet, so I guess I'll let it go. You know.
Well, let me ask you this, Adam: did you like the look of Galvatron? Now, these new formers, as we've been saying, are sleeker and more colorful. But Galvatron, I mean, he's got like an engine in the middle of him. He's the most colors you've ever seen.
Yeah, he's okay, I guess. I mean, like, it just didn't stand out, you know? Like, I like my nice, clean lines for memorability, you know?
Yeah, they are messy,
there's just nothing happening that I can recognize. I mean, I remember the hole in his chest.
He looks like
that's all I remember. Too.
It's like if a PS5 in rest mode became a Transformer.
Yeah.
You know, it's very forward thinking. Loading.
I didn't love his design. I did like his truck transformation, where he's kind of like, I like the evil versions of, you know, Optimus and Bumblebee.
Yeah.
Stinger. Right
now, Jacob. I got to do a toy corner for a second, or a throwback to the animated series. Now, they say in this, Stanley Tucci says, why does it keep looking like Megatron? I told you, make it look like Optimus. That's the one people like, and we're going to call it Galvatron. And you're like, what the fuck is he talking about? Now, in the animated series, the other big bad guy, other than Megatron and Unicron, who we'll get to in a little bit, is called Nemesis Prime. In the long history of comic book, you know, villains of opposite colors, he is just an all-black version of Optimus Prime, who turns into a black pickup or trucky thing. Exactly. I would have to assume that's what the homage here is with Galvatron, because he's not going to turn into a crazy gun. No, that's for Lockdown's head, I guess.
Right. Well, even that, Colin, doesn't make sense because Stanley Tucci's like, make it look like. Why does it not look like Optimus? but they're using Megatron's like memories or
It's
whatever
like,
to create.
Of course it's not. It looks like the evilest thing anyone has ever made. It is going to turn on you. And Jacob, now, guys, this gets into these new formers. They're drones, essentially. That will be our, the humans' advantage to fighting back against these alien invaders. We will control some of them. We get a shot of basically Adam and Mike playing Rogue Squadrons. It's like the handheld controls.
Yeah, the joysticks. Yeah.
And the guy's like, fight, make it do this, make it transform now. Okay, well, he's pressing a button that makes it turn into a billion squares flying through the air, or he's hitting the throttle. How the fuck does that work?
And then I guess what happens is
they were using literally my flight stick, by the way, to
this is the one
these old Logitech. Like it is the budget flight stick, and they had two of them.
There you go.
And then he speaks, and they're like, "Did we program that?" And I guess what happens is he got infected with Megatron's consciousness through
the drones. Yeah,
right. But it was all Megatron's plan all along. Somehow, as a dead body, his plan was to be reincarnated by this Elon Musk.
As if he could be thinking or planning things. He's a dead corpse, and he goes, "All according to plan." And then Jacob, he speaks, and later Stanley Tucci, because we should say they've created Transformium. There's a whole montage. There's a scientist later playing with it who makes a My Little Pony turn into a fucking bazooka or something.
Right, and we need to be clear. He's demonstrating it, and he's saying you could make anything. Beats, and it's like I can make a copywritten retail product Beats logo and all,
Dre,
right?
And he's talking to his investors, and he goes, this was such a screw up today. And by the way, it talked. Now, that would be like if like the R&D research at G&E Electronics was like, hey, how's that toaster coming? Oh, so much. It was telling me the news the other day, just like talking to me. You'd go, what? Yeah. Excuse me?
I think it's self-aware.
And the first line it says, so Optimus says, you have no soul. And then Galvatron says, yeah, that's why I have no fear, because I'm just a soulless, evil
Easier to kill you with.
And it's like, oh, I wonder if this guy's evil or not.
Yeah.
One of the things I remember liking about the first one is I felt, whoa, they actually turned some like dumb kids thing like verbatim into a big explosive adult quote unquote thing.
Right.
And that, this movie feels like that. It's just a bummer that beyond it not being that interesting to me, there's also like all the stuff that just makes me feel weird, like mixed in there. If it was just big, dumb, loud, and that stupid, like I'm all here for that kind of stuff. And I was enjoying like when the thing turned into the Beats, like that's a win for me, because I don't need this movie to have integrity. I'd rather have a giggle at really.
Right. I was just waiting for it to turn into like a can of Coke or something.
Well, this is what I kind of like about Lenovo. This. Yeah. Well, we had Brain. He just didn't turn into Lenovo this time, but he was in it.
Oh, it drove me crazy, Mike.
There is a level of self-awareness to this. Like even when they're saying, "Oh, we reverse engineered it. We called it Transformium," and then Stanley Tucci's like, "Oh, great. We focus group that. That's what we're going with. Sure, why not?" Right. Like they're like, "Yeah, this is a shitty name. Good job, writers," and they're like aware of it, right? So those kind of moments where they're like, "Yeah, what the hell are we doing?" It's fun, but it still has some of that weird stuff. And again, Adam, because he didn't watch the last two. To me, this is decidedly less weird and awkward feeling to watch compared to those.
There's still some very weird moments, though. Like, it still has that.
Of course it does.
Michael Bay. Yeah. But, Mike, I also wanted to mention, they're kind of commenting on some of the problems of the movie. Within the movie, there's also the scene where, Mark Wahlberg goes to the rundown movie theater that he's going to buy. And the guy was like, the problem these days is movies are all like sequels and
reboots and shit.
Reboots and all that. So they're like kind of hanging a lampshade on the fact that their movie is just the fourth movie in this series and everything too. But I don't know if that makes it better if you're pointing out the flaws in the movie.
It's such a grand question, Jacob. If you had to ask Michael Bay, are you proud that you're one of the few people who, of a series, made 5 movies set in the same universe? Who else can say that? Sylvester Stallone did not direct every Rocky movie.
I mean, here's the thing that I think is The worst thing you can do as a multimedia corporation is, treat your audience as if it's stupid. And I feel the previous 3 movies are purposely just treating us like we're stupid, right? And this one is at least saying, it's dumb, we know it's dumb, let's let it be dumb, kind of wink and a nod, instead of just give us your money for this dumb robot thing. This one is at least like, look, we know it, you know it, secret's out, these are fucking stupid. And at least, I don't know, it's still gross, but slightly less gross to me, That's where I land on it.
Yeah. It's a different type of gross. Yeah. Again, Mike, if I'm relating every one of these movies to like a different director and stuff, where I'm like, that Spielberg first movie, that James Cameron second movie, that George Lucas Return of the Jedi third movie. This one, it's the Joss Whedon Avengers, where you are feeling that stuff at the end, where he just starts talking about knights, and you don't have to know that there's another movie coming, and we have the foresight to know that the next one's called The Last Knight, but you just get in that moment where you're like, what the fuck is he talking about now? Like they start throwing these curveballs of this other stuff where it does start to get to the bleed of, and make sure people know this is a bigger universe and there is more coming.
That is kind of the weakness of this, is once it's expanding the scope of this individual film, it kind of loses me.
Yeah, and in each one they kind of expand the history of Transformers, but in a way that I don't even know what to think about anything anymore.
Yeah, everyone keeps saying this is the secret history you can't believe. That ones came 10 minutes before the last one you thought came the earliest. And I keep looking at my watch going like, okay, so like that one came at 6 million BC, this one came at 7 million BC. At what point does it fucking matter that these robots were always hanging out on the Earth?
How old are you?
20.
She's a 17-year-old girl. So we can work this 2 ways. 1, I punch you right in the mouth and you call the police on me.
Dad.
Or 2, I just call the cops on you because this is illegal. She's a minor.
We're protected by the Romeo and Juliet laws.
We dated for a little while. I was a sophomore and he was a senior. It's fine.
No, it's not fine.
We've got a pre-existing juvenile foundational relationship. Statute 2705-3.
What? Texas statute? That a real law?
Yep.
Romeo and Juliet, huh? You know how those 2 ended up?
Love.
Dead.
Right, exactly. And then I think by the time we get to Bumblebee, it'll even be more confusing with Bumblebee.
We live here. We live here with humans.
Have you seen that one? Bumblebee movie?
Yeah, it's a Bumblebee solo movie with Haley Steinfeld, where it's kind of a coming of age thing where she finds Bumblebee.
It's E.T. meets Bumblebee
in the 80s. It's a very Spielbergian 80s movie.
Nice.
3 of us widely prefer that. Now let me ask you, Adam, would you pick up from this one you watched and the first one you remember, where he kind of was the co-lead, that Bumblebee is the standout character of the good guy robots?
Yeah, absolutely. He's like Pikachu. He's like the lovable one.
There was so little in this one. I hate it every time they pull him out more.
But it was so formulaic. I can't remember what it was that happened. Someone was like kidnapped or whatever, and I said, okay, Bumblebee's gonna save the day here, because we have to realize that Bumblebee is like the emotional heart and the like relatable robot. So in about 30 minutes, Bumblebee is gonna save that character, and it played out exactly like that, I think.
Wow.
Because I was like, yeah, this is the robot they market more than Optimus, really.
Yeah,
I had a Deus Ex Bumblebee note,
and
so yeah, you're definitely right.
I would say, Bumblebee does have less to do in this one, because the whole point of him in the first 3 is his connection with Shia LaBeouf, Sam Witwicky.
Right.
So now he doesn't have his like human person anymore. So he's just kind of and Cade Yeager identifies more with Optimus. So now Bumblebee's just kind of there.
Which is 2 alphas,
Jacob,
bro.
that's so true. He does identify more with Optimus. But we get these scenes where they're breaking into Stanley Tucci's lab, and it's Mark Wahlberg, Cade Yeager, and Bumblebee. Bumblebee sees Stinger, the new Bumblebee. We get this big acting out scene, and Mark Wahlberg keeps going, "Yo, B, calm down. You're getting so worked up. You're acting crazy right now."
Well, right. And there's these videos that are like, You know how Bumblebee's just like a huge piece of
Looks like
shit?
shit.
What if we had a Bumblebee that was just
Red
better in
Bumblebee
every way?
coming September.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I understand why he was upset. That was very silly. And then at the end, he does kill his evil self and is like, I hate imitation.
Wild. Pterodactyl swoop helps him
Cheap
out,
imitation.
feeds the head to him.
Yes.
It's fucking awesome. It's
I hate
basically
it's
a
commenting
Mortal
on the
Kombat
movies. Yep.
Scene. Wow.
But the thing is,
probably.
we got Bumblebee getting body shamed, but then he changes himself to look more like the version they were peddling, which is not a good message for children. He should have stayed the same.
Yeah,
They're all in
Should have
hiding.
stayed
He said
with
no
black
black.
truck design.
Yes.
So there's an
Yeah.
issue with that. But
Very funny scene that I want to mention when Mark Wahlberg's like complaining about his daughter to Optimus, and then Optimus is like, "Oh yeah, I used to have that problem with Bumblebee."
Yeah.
What does that mean? Is Bumblebee your
That's
son?
always
boy,
trying to
that
make
made
out.
me scratch. I had
Yeah,
no idea.
I was like, oh, you're also inappropriately attracted to Bumblebee? Like, I don't...
Right.
Bumblebee, do you know Romeo and Juliet laws? You can't hook up with
But Bumblebee was
But
trying to
from
date
the-
Sam Witwicky the whole time.
Yeah, from the earlier movies, we know Bumblebee is obsessed with getting Sam and Michaela to have sex inside of him.
Watch
So
them fuck.
maybe he's got like a weird fetish thing.
That's what Optimus was talking about, probably. Like, come on, B. Now he's fighting with all the other robots. He's got all this pent-up energy because he's not around Michaela or Sam anymore.
Right.
And in my opinion, so here's a weird fact. The voice actor for the one line in the first movie, Mike, Bumblebee, I want to stay here. They will protect
Want to
You
stay with
do
the
it, Mike.
boy.
My favorite.
Yeah.
I want to stay with the boy. He
Yeah.
is the voice actor for Lockdown, interestingly, so kind of like a big part. But B, doesn't it feel like B should almost be credited to Eddie Murphy? It seems like he plays like 30 Eddie Murphy clips in this one for his own voice, to the point where I was like, is Eddie Murphy Bumblebee?
Well, there was Leonard Nimoy in the last one. It depends on the guest stars, too, because we had Big Lebowski in this as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
really depends on who the other actors in the movie are.
That's
But-
true. We have John Goodman.
So wild
as a
to me
voice.
when I read that was John Goodman. It just
Yes.
blew my mind.
Why is he smoking a cigar?
Yeah.
I don't know. But the Hound is
What
probably
is
my
it?
favorite
He's
Transformer.
He's so hateful. He's just such a hateful. Like I don't have a lot of tolerance for like aggro bros shouting bitch a lot, and it like hurt me that was John Goodman. I was like, he's the Call of Duty bot.
I wish they would have pulled back on him yelling bitch for sure, but I like that
yeah.
character, and he
Weird.
does.
favorite.
He's definitely the second most consequential Autobot in the movie after Optimus
He's the
Prime.
coolest
out, he has the
designed.
most
Like
lines.
he is recognizable. He's got
Yeah.
that weird beard thing
Well,
going on.
Yeah, my favorite thing about him is that he has a cigar that's like just a bullet backwards, apparently, and then in the end he like turns it around and shoots it out of his mouth at somebody like a bullet.
cool.
Setup and payoff, right? This is filmmaking,
go.
folks. So you know,
That's
just
the
like
football, Mike.
the football, please let's add him the setup and payoff of the football. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Oh my god.
No, none.
He passes it off.
No. You
Cade
could.
Yeager, all-American inventor guy from Texas, right? Giant biceps that we know and love. He can apparently just find footballs anywhere, American footballs, even if he's in some random Chinese guy's apartment. That
The
guy
NFL is
happened to
huge in
play
China.
American football.
Yeah.
Of course.
Right. So he finds a
and
football
he
and
can
throws it
throw
at a
it.
gunman.
He throws it at the guy's head and basically, and then pushes him out the window, and then he dies.
Saves the day.
So,
I,
good job, Cade Yeager.
I mean,
State.
there's something cool, not cool. There's something interesting about the action sequences for that character all being like seriously just a group of 5-year-olds are playing in the backyard, and this is what they'd be. I'd be the guy with the sword who's a gun, who is somehow as capable at killing Transformers as other Transformers. Like, I'm going to do ground warfare for long periods of time.
Well, here's something I want to ask, too, because you remember in the first Transformers, Adam, there's a lot of military guys just shooting 5.56 NATO rounds at alien robots. It doesn't seem to work that well. And they do that throughout the next two. So when they finally gave him an alien gun, I'm like, this makes more sense than the previous 3 movies combined,
is
as
it?
stupid as it is.
That would be like a
alien gun.
toothpick to them. It's so small.
It is one of those props from like a Halloween store that's just like injection molded. Like it does not look like a real item.
Right. But it's like, at least it's alien technology this time, and not just a 9mm that you're shooting at Megatron.
It's from the Knights, right? It's from the
ship.
It's from it's from Lockdown Ship, but I got the feeling that it could be any, like, he just had a bunch of alien captives, right, from not just Cybertron but different aliens. We see one alien like spit something at the John Goodman robot, and then he like shoots it, and he's like,
after calling it
dead,
bitch. Then he shoots it.
What I was gonna say is Mark Wahlberg's role in this, I think it really is like a Michael Bay stand-in. He's like, okay, we did the high school kid. Let's get a single dad. I don't know if Michael Bay's single, but I imagine that he would be.
Complain about his daughter.
I imagine that he would be.
And then he's going to run
kind
around.
of controlling. But
shooting an alien robot gun that can kill other alien robots. And then he also has the scene with the boyfriend, the contrast between them when they're on the bounty hunter ship. And the boyfriend is just like surrenders immediately. And then he's like, typical millennials, right?
And Jacob, we get the Michael Bay villain in the first scene, which is a gay cowboy theater owner who is supposed to be the like, yeah, fuck this smart city slicker. He thinks he can talk down to Mark Wahlberg.
Right.
And then one of the few like people of color is someone that Mike Wahlberg chases off with a baseball bat.
Yes.
This is such a weird like scene. It's just like super aggressive to this woman who's just like your house doesn't
and he's
belong
behind
to you.
on his pay. Like, he's the squatter in this scenario. Like, he's a bad guy, and he's just super aggro all the time. And just imagining, Mark Wahlberg understanding anything that's going on at that final battle where he's just kind of looking on and seeing these giant robots fight each other. Like, you don't have no idea what's going on, do you, Mark Wahlberg?
He's pretty composed.
The Rock I would have watched do that, and like suspended my disbelief, though.
You would have expected him to drop the gun at one point and box one of the Transformers. But he is such... Awesome. Aid Yeager is the stand-in for the American person because it's like, okay, you're living through the housing crisis. You have all these other issues. But you're right. The Transformers are to blame. The weird foreigners fucking ruining this country for the rest of us.
There is a lot of the other to blame on this. Because it's like Kelsey Grammer, he says there's no such thing as a good alien.
No, they're enemies.
Yeah.
That's all they are.
That's the interesting thing, though, because this movie is kind of is pro immigration or whatever you want to say, because the whole message is that the Kelsey Grammer's unequivocally the bad guy of the movie, right?
Which again is the flip of the Michael Bay standard thing,
Yes, and he learns a lesson, but Optimus does shout out at one point, "I'm through helping humans. You're on your own now." And Mark Wahlberg goes, "Do you really mean what you said, Optimus? That you're not going to help us anymore? That's kind of rude if you think about it."
Let's talk about Optimus's stuff, because he does say, we're going to get the seed and then fuck humans. We're leaving.
We're out of here.
Right. One more time. That's it. You're on your own.
But to be fair, I mean, Optimus he's been through a lot of shit, and some, humans have really wronged him. So I understand why he feels that way.
No respect. Yeah. But
he gets PTSD in this movie.
He's at the end of his rope.
He's a piece of shit.
He's been betrayed several times through the years. Sentinel Prime betrayed him. But
he's a great leader, and all the other Autobots agree, which is very funny at the end, because it's just like, wow, he has the coolest voice out of all of us.
Crosshairs, John DiMaggio comes in, "That's the reason he's the leader. It brings tears to your eyes." What, him threatening to kill a bunch of these like foreigners? Yeah. He's like begging to help him?
Optimus Prime throughout the movies is just completely bloodthirsty, murders people all the time, murders other robots, and his catchphrase is not "Autobots roll out" like it is in the comics or the cartoon, but his catchphrase in this one is really "I'll kill you," because he says that so many times.
Yeah, I have
I'll kill you.
He says when they meet back up with the Autobots,
classic
he's like,
line.
Yeah, classic, from the cartoon. I love when he says, "I'll kill you." But he's like,
"Give me your face."
"I swore to never kill humans, but he is going to die."
This is
right after he killed like 10 security officers on the way out of Kate Yeager's house.
And then you're right, when he's recruiting the Night Dinobots, he's like, you will earn your freedom fighting for me, or you'll die.
Or you'll die. And then they have a little tussle, and Grimlock's kind of like, all right. And he's like, yeah, that's right, all right, you little bitch.
Yeah, he literally says, I'm giving you freedom, smacks him in the face. So this is what freedom looks like. America, yeah.
Yeah, which is, it's like American colonialism in the Middle East or whatever.
Take
where
this
it's like,
freedom.
we're fighting for your freedom by, invading your country. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's wild. It's a lot of layers to this movie.
There are. But
Yeah,
to your guys' credit, I kind of didn't even realize this while watching, but Mike, you are so right. No portals in the sky, no, MacGuffin they're racing for. It's really about, where's Optimus? Here's Optimus. We got to keep moving. Lockdown's coming. Oh no, Lockdown took Optimus and my daughter. We got to go get them back. They get up on the ship. They save them. Then this kind of, like I said, Avengers-y stuff of, is the movie over? Well, we could add 20 more minutes to introduce a new characters. It's like, all right, well, yeah, let's do that part.
And then they got to do the seed. Yeah.
This movie is so fucking long. At one point I was like, okay, it's got to be wrapping up. They're, on the alien ship or whatever, saving his daughter. It's got to be wrapping up soon. I paused the movie. 1 hour and 45 minutes in. There's still an hour left in this movie.
That's the beginning of the third act.
Yeah, they haven't even gotten to China yet.
Maybe that's why the color grading is so weird, and why the audio are all the movies audio design, so there's never like the robot voices don't feel diegetic at all. They don't echo off of anything. It's just
very true.
Straight out of a
that out. Yeah, it's
such a bummer because it's like that would add so much weight to these characters if there was any like rumble to their voice, or it even existed in the environment. But it's all just kind of like, we sound like this wherever we are.
It totally sounds just ADR. Yeah, like I'm a fat ballerina. It's like just John Goodman in the booth, completely separate from what's on screen.
It makes no difference how loud the stuff is around them. It's at the like same level. They know, like, I don't know.
Center channel, perfect volume, dialogue channel.
I wanted that from a Michael Bay big budget movie. I didn't just want set pieces. I wanted like, wow, the grass is the same color of green in every shot. Like, not like, oh, weird. This seems like it was shot with 6 different cameras this scene, and not for an artistic reason. Like, I don't
know. For
sunset lasts a very long time.
Yeah.
As well.
yeah.
And then this is another like leaning into global box office. We have the plot point of there's a whole factory in China we got to move stuff to. The final battle's in Hong Kong. I like Godzilla versus King Kong. Hong Kong is one of my favorite cities I've ever had the pleasure of visiting. Do we like the battle in Hong Kong? Is it cool? Is it distracting? Because I think the climax, right, as long as it is, it's more structurally sound than the third movie because of those beats of spaceship, kidnap, the seed, right? Like the bridge, right? We got to stop it from getting out, So there's clear beats of, when things are happening, getting the dinosaurs involved, as opposed to the Battle of Chicago. So it's at least you can follow what's happening as far as the progression of that climax better than the third movie.
And of course, it's the obligatory pandering to the China market by setting the big climax in China, right? That's the first time for Transformers.
Because we had made $1 billion with the previous movie, and that was in Chicago.
Absolutely.
So,
we know who these are for now.
Let's do it, yeah.
Let's talk about, some of the other characters, like Stanley Tucci. I like this character because he has more of a redemption arc than most characters in Transformers movies, right? He starts out as like, as part of the villains, basically as this like Steve Jobs kind of guy. But then he kind of learns over the course of the movie that, hey, maybe, the Autobots aren't so bad and we shouldn't be creating evil versions of them, I guess. And then he kind of has an arc in this movie, don't you think?
Yeah, he's got an arc. It was just one more thing that was confusing for me, Like, it took me long enough to adjust to like, oh, wait, he's a good guy now. I was just like, what?
Why?
I kind of liked him better as the bad guy, Like, there's the shot, I rewatched the trailer to try to refresh myself as well. And he's got, the big moment in that trailer is him being like, oh my God, I'm overacting. And it's pretty great. Like, I love it.
I feel like he steals the show too. He does have an arc, and he's fun when he's the villain, like when he's just saying algorithms. math. Why can't we make things? You know, he's hitting the whiteboard.
John Turturro in the last one.
Yeah.
I was just about to say,
he has a crazy girlfriend thing too. Sorry, I just totally forgot.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like hitting on
and Bing Bing.
Yes.
It's so weird.
And then that she's not interested in it at all. She's like his employee and just wants her raise.
He's always
and
getting
like, I'm in love with
close.
you.
He's gonna kiss her. Yeah, and she's always like, "We'll talk about this later."
And at the end, did you miss me?
The
No.
other female character, there are no
Very
female Transformers and she is basically the exact same character that the other girl in this movie is, which is like,
there's the
let's
other...
get those shots. And
and then there's the other blonde lady that
there is the other blonde lady that works for Stanley Tucci,
who just kind of appears sometimes.
She goes to Antarctica. She sees Grimlock in the first scene of the movie.
She finds the metal skeleton.
And then you don't see her for 54 more minutes.
Again, I just want to follow this thread that Adam just started here, because we talked about RC is a female Transformer. We got the hint of her in the second movie. Kind of the only one in the series, but they don't show her. There are, if you're switching all these things around, you could gender bend half these things. You could do this and that. Now, we already talked about the race stuff, but for them to be like, okay, yeah, there's not going to be a woman Transformer, but we aren't doing pretty hot in these Asian markets. What if one was a samurai? Like, at that point, you could literally just say, just make one of them a woman then. Have one of them have long blonde hair for all I fucking know. The little doctor one has blue hair. What's the goddamn difference, Michael Bay? Give it boobs.
Right.
Make it look like a woman you would want to fuck. A Michael Bay robot woman.
Yeah, we could get some gratuitous Transformer butt shots. It would be great.
I mean, it is funny that, like, obviously this show was made specifically like, we are going to target little boys. That is what Transformers is. That is like how we define the toy market. So, like, of course, like, that makes sense, like, where it's the time and place that it's coming from. It was just surprising. Again, I was like, this came out in 2014, 16.
Yeah,
somewhere
14.
around there.
14.
Hollywood
recently
was
enough
waking
that
up
it
a
felt
little
weird.
bit.
Yeah, it was just like, I would have guessed there would have been one, like you said, like shoehorned in a weird way, like sexy Autobot. For, like,
Why not?
Even the human female characters in this series have always been either like the girlfriend of the main character or the daughter of the main character. Rarely is there. I think there's the hacker lady in the first one that has like some.
She still goes to her buddy's house and he helps with the code. Like she doesn't solve the problem on her own because it's not good. And I argue that the best female character in the series is Megan Fox in the first movie because she knows about cars. She drives Bumblebee in the final battle. She actually has the most agency in the series, but that's the high point, and it's not very high. And this is another case where it's like the boyfriend who's a rally driver is more important than Cade Yeager's actual daughter, right? Which is a bit of a bummer.
Right. And what does the daughter even do in this movie? Nothing really.
She pulls the e-brake once.
She gets kidnapped.
Yeah. And she gets scared walking on the line across the building, which anyone would be scared. That's fucking terrible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was
hold on. Just because Adam said it up top, do we think Rosie Huntington-Whiteley and Shia LaBeouf are dead? Do we, in the universe of these movies, where do we think they are at this point? Because if it's 5 years of all Transformers are outlaws, they're on the run, why wouldn't he be talking at press conferences or doing a podcast at that point going, well, actually, as a guy who had personal experience with Optimus Prime, the leader of the Transformers.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, Sam Witwicky would be... They should have at least mentioned him in some capacity. They even mentioned Megan Fox in the last one to explain why they broke up or whatever. But in this one, it's just like Sam Witwicky. Never heard of that guy.
Yeah,
Bumblebee should have had one line of real dialogue that said Sam's dead. He should have just said that out of nowhere, and then stuff should have just kept going. And I've been like, oh, what was that, Bumblebee?
Right. I think if anything in the universe of this particular film, who knows what The Last Night will shed light on? Because I think we do get some characters back, but. As far as this movie is concerned, I think all of them must be in a government black site. Once Kelsey Grammer took over, he's like, all right, John Turturro, Sam Witwicky, girlfriend of Sam Witwicky, Josh Duhamel, Guantanamo, right? That's it. Get out of here. And I think that's
I would accept that, Mike.
They all got just, black sighted, and that's the only explanation I have. Or they're in hiding, right? Same thing. They're just or in Panama or something.
I'd buy either of those.
One of the two.
So overall, though, what are we thinking? Better than 2 and 3 slightly. I mean, they're all kind of bad in their own way, but I do like some aspects of this better. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts?
I don't know. Maybe that's the kind of final thought that we can get into right after this.
Right. Let's transform over to our final thoughts right now on Normies Like Us.
Okay, sir. You better have insurance.
Insurance? It's a freaking spaceship. You go get insurance on a freaking spaceship. Good luck with that, buddy. Is your car? Huh? Sweetie, hand me my alien gun.
Here you go.
Trust your dad.
We're back. The podcast isn't extinct yet, but our coverage on Age of Extinction, the 4th Transformers movie, is almost up. We're here giving our final thoughts. Adam, we're going to throw it over to you as the guest. You know, we were just saying, is it the best out of these Transformers, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Just on your own star system or out of 10 or whatever, just as a movie, what the fuck would you give this thing?
Man, out of 10... I would give this I'd give it a 5, maybe
that is high.
Maybe like a 4.5. Here's why, though. I think, it was fun jumping in with no context because similarly to the first one, if you've never seen a Transformers movie, I think there's something interesting about watching one. I get all I get all upset about like problematic stuff, which is, partially my problem of not being able to just like roll my eyes and move on. But even with that, it is like a spectacle. It's weird. My girlfriend and I had a good time watching it because there's nothing else quite like this. It's weird. Like it's very strange to watch Optimus Prime punching a dinosaur robot in the head. Like, you know. So there's entertainment value in it, even if the sum of its parts is like, bleh. And also like I like bad movies. I think there got to be people that like can just have a great time watching this because all it would take is for my brain to be tweaked in a slightly different direction where I'm like, oh man, I really like the design of these robots and I like watching them fight. I happen to be that way about X-Wings. Like that's the only difference.
I love that.
I would watch the worst movie in the world.
Would you watch this? Say you owned this. Would you put this on again in the same year that you watched this once before?
No. I don't think it's fun enough. Like, and there's not enough. Like, it's too hard to wrap a brain around to like kind of even sit and make fun of. It's just like what?
But now that you've watched this one, would you go back and watch the other ones or not?
Do you want more?
You got to catch up.
Want more punishment?
Would I seek it out on my own? No. Would I, would I watch them if they were the only things I had to watch? Sure, yeah.
If Michael Bay comes to your house and puts it in your Blu-ray player and says, Adam, sit down, we're watching all 5 of these, that's when you'll watch them.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great. Love to sit down and be terrified next to that man watching it. All he has weird movies.
All he has to do is kind of like hanging out with you. Then you'll be in one of them and just get residuals for a potential $1 billion movie for the rest of your life. I would
love it. I would take a job like pretty quickly in a movie like this. I mean, I don't know. If I read the script and I was like, this is creepy, I would still have a big problem, or a big struggle not being like, oh, I want to shoot the sword gun. Like, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
But we're at the table, and Michael, I do have some questions about Romeo and Juliet laws. And he'd be like, no, we're saving that for after production.
That's staying in. Oh, that's funny. Well, I appreciate you at least.
Solid 5.
Solid 5.
Wow.
That's fair, I think. That's fair.
The Rotten Tomatoes audience score is at exactly 50%, 17 for critics. But,
that's got to be higher than the last one. Wow.
I'll find out.
I would also say it's way too long. if I were to see this in the dollar theater, I'd probably walk out halfway through and be like, I got my entertainment value out of it.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
You'd be like, I was supposed to get dinner an hour ago. Like, what? How is this still going?
Dark of the Moon is a 55% audience score.
What? That's insane.
Slightly higher.
These movies made a lot of money.
The critic score is 35, nearly twice as high.
That makes a lot more sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I can move into my final thoughts.
Yeah,
First, I
please.
wanted to mention one fun fact that I actually was thinking about.
This better be
as
fun.
we were recording. Oh, I hope it will be. But I actually developed this in my head as we were talking just now. But Colin, you mentioned obviously, okay, John Goodman is the voice of Hound, our favorite Transformer. And you mentioned that Bumblebee has a line. One of his lines is from the movie The Big Lebowski, starring John Goodman. So I don't know how that works exactly. But then I started thinking about it. There's a lot of weird Big Lebowski connections to the Transformers series. You got John Goodman. I know for a fact that Steve Buscemi is a voice in the next one.
Yes, John
Turturro. And you got Frances McDormand, who's married to one of the Coen brothers.
Of course.
So
Jacob, I bet that is Michael Bay's favorite movie. I bet if you Googled an interview, he would say, because think about the plot of that. Oh my! And he would say it's funny, like not ironically and not unironically. He would not understand what we all think is funny about that movie. He'd be like, "Oh, that's so, are you kidding? That's hilarious! A girl gets her toe cut off. That's so funny." He'd be like,
He's trying to get a
Michael, you're not
carpet.
understanding any of it.
There's a whole MacGuffin thing, and the Hound is literally just Walter. Am I the only one here who thinks that Galvatron is a piece of shit? You know,
exactly. And so the more I thought of that, I was like, "That's insane." And why did Jeff? I always get Jeff Bridges and Jeff Daniels confused. But Jeff Bridges, why is he not a voice in one of them?
That's a great question.
How does the universe work if the Big Lebowski it exists within the Transformers universe that Bumblebee can use a line from it for his voice? But John
hold
Goodman
on.
also
They're not actually speaking. It's not like they know English, right? Because that's some sort. They could have downloaded John Goodman's voice.
Learned it
because
from
when
the
he
internet.
saves the Transform or the Dinobots, he goes, "Klignar Klog Darkaron." Are you like
speak another language?
Dinosaur to them?
Cybertronian,
Question mark? Yeah, I guess, Jacob.
He took it as an elective in college. It was a dead language. I said, "You'll never need this." Yeah, who's laughing now?
Yeah.
Daddy Prime. That's right.
So that all just blew my mind. But
that's good.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing Steve Buscemi bot in the next one.
Oh,
wow. I don't remember that.
Yeah, apparently that's like one thing. I have not seen it. I had not seen this one either, but I just know that Steve Buscemi is in the next one as a voice. I wonder if John Goodman comes back. I don't think he does, but anyways, for my final thoughts, I'll say there were certain aspects of this that I did like, that I did enjoy more than the last couple, right? Like I mentioned, the Autobots have more personality. They're more distinct. I like Lockdown, the bounty hunter character. I thought that was cool. So there's some cool things in this movie. Overall, I did, once it got to the big action fight scene at the end, I was like so ready for this movie to be over that I was like, I can't believe I'm still watching this.
Zoning out.
Even Optimus Prime riding on a T-Rex, a robot T-Rex holding a giant sword, wasn't enough to keep me interested in this movie.
Remember that happened. Like,
yeah,
it's on all the posters.
Man, how do I not remember that?
It's key art.
Yeah. So overall, say, if I had to rank the four that we've seen so far, I would probably put Transformers 1 at the top, and then this one would probably be next, and then Dark of the Moon, and then Revenge of the Fallen if I had to order them.
Wow.
So far, okay.
1, 4, 3, 2.
1, 4, 3, 2.
Wow.
Bumblebee above all of them so far still, but we'll get to that one hopefully eventually. Otherwise, I would say, it's another Transformers movie. That's for sure.
It's another one.
Congratulations, y'all.
Yeah.
GG.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's been a trial and a tribulation.
It sure has. I guess I'll jump in here. This one, I said, surprisingly enjoyed it more than the previous two. I think the first one is still, the best one to watch if you're only going to watch one. But if you are going to watch a second one, you could just skip 2 and 3 and just imagine that first battle with Megatron, because he gets killed in that one too. That's the Battle of Chicago. You don't need any of the other movies. And they get Megatron's head. Who gives a shit, right? And this could be a direct sequel where you have Sam Witwicky one time. Who cares? Yes. Next movie, Mark Wahlberg, they're in hiding 5 years later. Who cares, right? Chicago Battle was nuts. And this would just be a perfect sequel. You could delete the other two. So that's how I look at it, because they're the two most enjoyable overall. There's an incredible Bud Light, scene. Is this your car? He pops it.
I called that. Like before. I was like, when the truck got hit, I was like, that's not enough. Like, it is going to roll to him in combat.
There's an insert shot of his POV just looking at the beer on,
hey man,
like honing in on it.
Hey bro,
you have spaceship insurance? Wait, you want insurance? Give me my gun.
Give me a beer.
He's road raging this man. With an alien gun, and he's a hero.
And of course, he opens the Bud Light on the guy's car and drinks it aggressively in front of him.
Aggressively in front of him, yeah.
So that's classic.
So that's awesome. Also, like, again, you could tell what the Transformers are. They're identifiable without being offensive, generally, and they have cool cars, like cooler, like the Bugatti Veyron is like a very cool car. It's not just a Corvette, right? Like there's some.
Is that the Stinger?
That's the one that Drift is the Bugatti.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Stinger's...
Cool. Stinger was cool, too. I don't know what kind of car.
He was a Huayra. It's like a different European brand. But it was like on Top Gear. It's one of those supercars, right?
Damn.
So there's some very cool cars in this compared to the other ones where it's like, here's a Corvette and a GMC pickup truck.
Right. But is that because like they can use other kinds of cars that aren't GM now?
I think as the franchise blew up, maybe more companies wanted to get on board. We'll give you money for the budget. Obviously, you're going to take that money.
And we didn't even mention Optimus's disguise, where he's like
he looks like the classic,
the cartoon, right? It's the flat.
There's a bunch of mortars in here. Oh, what happened to you, pal?
Barely missed his engine. So I mean, yeah. In summary, it's weirdly the least Michael Bay of the Michael Bay Transformers so far. There's still weird stuff, but it's dialed back. There's not racist robots. There's maybe slightly racially off-note robot, but he's walking a line instead of crossing it, whereas in other ones he's just crossing every line, right? So
I'm adjusting my score down to 1. Those are great summaries. Reminded me of the movie again.
Yeah,
I'm dropping this back to 1.
But they did it right because not right, but you get John Goodman, you get Ken Watanabe, you get like these big name people that are recognizable, and give a robot that has a character that's identifiable, not just like random bleep blurb over here. Like we made a joke that you can't identify any Decepticon in any of these movies. Cut it down, just lock down, that's it. So it's the most watchable.
This one,
yeah.
Besides Galvatron and Stinger.
But there's not that many. It's like really. Right.
But at the end, there's like a bunch of random ones that are like attacking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Hound kills 10 Decepticons that we've never seen before.
Yeah. That's true. He does kill a bunch of those guys. But yeah, this could just be a sequel to the first one. Final note, no Linkin Park. Imagine Dragons, my favorite band. But
say Imagine Dragons is like the Linkin Park of the 2010s.
100%.
Yeah, so I do miss hearing a Linkin Park jam every time that a Transformers movie wrapped, but that aside, it's still the best one since the first one, but also not very good.
Oh my god!
And I'm just to piggyback off what you were saying, Mike. It's crazy to think that before this one, they didn't really do celebrity voice casting of the
only for like the main villain,
other than
like Nimoy.
Leonard Nimoy. Yeah, but it's like, and why not get John Goodman and Ken Watanabe to be your voices instead of just some random, people that we don't know?
They should have all been stunt casting, every single one.
Yeah.
Hugo Weaving was the biggest voice actor outside of Peter Colin, and then they go, oh yeah, people would come to these. It's it only costs this much to make them. Why not get big names in them?
Right.
Matt.
Yep. So we'll see if Last Night follows that trend, because I think it's the best the robots have been done to this point. But anyway, Colin, what are your last thoughts?
I got 50 things I want to say. First of all, we talked a little Stanley Tucci. In Last Night, this may be a spoiler, Stanley Tucci plays a different character.
Oh,
and if you guys can see or notice who he is, and bring it up to me in the next episode without looking it up, you win some sort of prize. We will negotiate later. It is
not look it up.
One of a kind. Super excited to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
God, we didn't talk about the Dinobots as much as I wanted. You know, cartoon show, they were my favorite. My favorite Autobots for sure. You know, they were the biggest. Grimlock was a maniac. He would talk like this. Me, Grimlock, say, no way I do that. And, you know, for a 4-year-old Colin to see a character that had that energy, imagine my mom trying to put me to bed that night. Colin, say no way. I mean, I would do that all the fucking time to them.
Hilarious.
That's what they were saying in ancient Cybertronian, by the way.
Yeah. Me, Grimlock, say, shut up, Optimus
I'm
Prime,
giving you
and get
freedom.
on my back.
Yeah.
Let's go. I looked up. I was a little curious on their backstory. I wasn't sure if I was getting it right, my memory, so I looked up their thing on the cartoon. Jacob, apologies, you were right. Their last name is Witwicky. It is Spike and Sparkplug Witwicky. So a couple of Polacks living next to the volcano that these robots live in. I have no idea.
What about Cade Yeager, though? He's not from the cartoon.
Yeah, no, Cade Yeager. Boo, 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 boo. Let's talk about Cade Yeager for a minute. I said up top, my M. Night Shyamalan connection. I want to talk about Mark Wahlberg for just a second for this wrap-up. You guys have to understand this point where he was at in his career. I said it before The Happening. I just happened to watch The Happening. You know, right before we watched this one, I was like, I'll get some great Mark Wahlberg. And that is such a turning point in his career. It's right after The Departed, the first movie he got after that Oscar nomination. That is a role for him. A Boston cop, you know what I mean? That's what you would think of Mark Wahlberg. Mm-hmm. That's where he's at his best. So then to go to a science teacher in Pennsylvania in The Happening, and to start this downward spiral. Now, to me, that is where he became self-aware, where someone must have said, you can't keep doing this. And then I think the most important next thing to happen is the Mark Wahlberg talking to animals SNL video. That parody, you know, Andy Samberg, he hit something we were all thinking that no one had verbalized. You didn't know what an impression of Mark Wahlberg was, that he goes up at the end to make everything sound like a question. Right. That was just something genius Andy Samberg did. It was so popular. Mark Wahlberg eventually comes on for the next one. He's laughing about himself. That is a critical moment, Jacob. I don't think, if he hadn't gotten that injection of self-awareness, he would have continued down that path of, well, I was up for an Oscar. Shouldn't I be the lead in these other things? I worked with M. Night. Shouldn't I be doing this? No. Stick to the Michael Bay. Do the pain and the gains. You are the big action star. You should be in this stuff. You're going to hook up with Peter Berg at a point. You're going to make a lot of, like, military things. Awesome. M. Night Shyamalan also has a hand in another career in Age of Extinction. Do you guys know who I am talking about?
Another career in Age of Extinction.
Guys, it's almost too delicious to say. After the failure of The Happening, where I think he says to Mark Wahlberg, hey, you go your way, I'm going to go mine. Trust me, you know, like, here's the thing. Yeah, like, our little movie didn't work out. My next movie, it's a slam dunk. It's an adaptation of a cartoon show. It's called The Avatar. I'm about to just, you know, boom. You know, I'm going to be making movies forever. This thing will probably gross $1 billion. Now, signs on with Nickelodeon. He's going to make that movie. M. Night Shyamalan. He's going to direct the adaptation of Avatar. I've never seen Avatar. I don't know that cartoon. I would love for us to do an episode on it just so I could watch a couple. Yeah. It seems like it's a very popular epic, especially in this quarantine. Now, financing starts to fall through. I don't know if you guys know this. They had the cost breakdown of Avatar is one of the only films to ever have that fully leaked. So you can see itemized how much they spent on everything.
Wow.
At a certain point, it becomes clear they run out of money, whether or not that's in pre-production, whether or not it's when they're thinking it out. He hires on to this film a young actress who's only been in a couple things, whose father is a billionaire, who says, make my daughter the lead of your movie. And M. Night's like, I found another talent. I'm the guy who found Haley Joel Osment. I'm about to crown a new kid actor. I found this actress. She's going to star as Katara, the white lead of Avatar, who's normally a brown person in an Eskimo tribe. And you're like, what is this M. Night Shyamalan? And that young girl, after that disaster of a movie, barely works again, but she grows up and gets hot, and she becomes Marky Mark's daughter in Age of Extinction.
Wow,
That's the same
no
actress.
It's the same fucking actress, and they've both been touched by M. Night. He has led them to our glorious Age of Extinction. Does that blow your mind?
That's incredible because I did not.
Well, now I gotta see Avatar the film.
Oh yeah, that's
sold.
not an excuse to see the greatest actress of our generation. I mean, she's gone on to pretty much just do TV stuff after Age of Extinction. We should say, you know, this
I don't know
this
that
movie
actress
did no favors. No, of course
all.
we have not said her name on this podcast yet because I don't think any of us know it.
Even the boyfriend who I said was the Irish Hemsworth, he got separated from the Hemsworths and grew up in Ireland instead of Australia. Not sure what else he's in either.
The Mick Hemsworth of
Chris tells a story about how their family, how a baby was stolen by a stork and taken to Ireland, and we all know.
Yeah.
It just, you know, I just wanted to tell that epic because I just wanted to give the framing of what this movie is, where all these people are heading towards. I think this is, you know, we said, is this a good role for Mark Wahlberg? No, I like the pairing. I want him to be doing Michael Bay stuff. I want this next movie we're watching to be the best one. I'm with Jacob. Exact same order. I'm going 1, 4, 3, 2. And if I can put 5 all the way up on top of that next time, I'd be fucking stoked. I don't think so. This next movie is the only one I have seen one time, maybe mostly through FX. I'm not positive. Probably watched on TV with commercials. So to get a real viewing here next week, I'm fucking stoked for Transformers and the future of Transformers right now.
Yeah,
it's more than we said at the start of this journey.
Yeah. The only things I know about the next one is Anthony Hopkins is in it. There's like a weird C-3PO robot running around.
Well, we're going to meet Cogsworth. I do remember Cogsworth. He is about to be all of our favorite characters. Adam, I maybe request that you just look up YouTube videos of Cogsworth. Get ready, Normies.
I would love to see a Cogsworth cut.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
I need more good Bud Light cameos in the next one. We'll see. But I agree.
You guys pointed out that when Stinger dies, he falls backwards on a Victoria's Secret truck that completely explodes, and the only words that are left on the truck are Victoria's Secret, completely unscratched,
untouched. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I agree. 1, 4, 3, 2. So far is the order.
Yes.
That's the
Bayhem.
definitive order.
We are linked on the Bayhem here, guys. We love these movies. It turns out we've got our order.
Love is a strong word.
Yes, it is.
Love and hate.
Adam, just thank you so much for being here again and doing it all. Cargo Bay,
guys.
A different type of Bayhem. Check it out, guys. Tuesday nights, Twitch TV, Elegant Weapon.
That's right. 7 p.m. PST.
The best card opening show you'll ever see.
And we say this will be our last thing here. Let's predict. What will we get some cool Age of Extinction shots? What will these cards look like, Adam? Will we get a?
Well, he got the original film, so we'll probably get.
What's the original? Oh, I wanted a guy holding Rainbow Dash. Chase card.
I think this is a trading card game that came out in the U.S. at the same time the Age of Extinction cards came out only in Europe.
Right.
That's
the
an
movie
Age
cards.
of Extinction. Specific
there will be a
trading card game.
This covers everything. There should be Age of Extinction characters in here, maybe in that style to some degree. And these, we could have a Shia LaBeouf photograph in here.
Oh my God! You gotta tune in, folks.
Incredible.
Autographs. These were not the cheapest cards in the world because there's that potential for that big hit there. And once we get our Discord figured out, we gotta have you guys in turn on the Cargo Bay. We'll open up whatever cards you dream of. There are cards for every big budget movie but this one.
I would, if I could be a guest on your show and do a guest opening, if I had a pack of cards here, I would.
That's my
I would die
dream
happy.
Someday, I promise it will happen. Yeah.
One day you will all be guests on the Cargo Bay, but until that time.
We didn't even talk about.
I gotta cramp something in. I would be a Sea-Doo, and my name would be Bass Splash.
Oh my God!
Been thinking about this.
I like it.
Also, we didn't talk about the ending of this one, where
Bass Splash get down.
Sorry, yes, Jacob, the ending.
Optimus Prime flies in this one, which he's never shown the ability to do before by himself.
Oh yeah, they fly now.
They fly
Yeah,
now,
he doesn't have
literally.
the boosters. Yeah.
They're integrated.
The speech at the end was great in this one. They've done so many patriotic speeches, and this one
Yeah.
is just like, when you look up in the sky and you see the stars, just know that one of those might be my soul.
He says to like pick a star in the sky. He's basically giving you the "I bought a star to your wife" gift, where it's like, you see up there, that could be me.
He's also like, I'm leaving, but you stay here and just protect
Goodbye.
Cade Yeager and friends.
Yeah,
No one else.
I need to figure out. He basically says, it's such a good pitch for the next movie, because he basically says, I need to figure out why this movie happened. It's basically his last speech. Goodbye.
I got to think about my life.
Wow.
This was
It's
so
the
hard.
ending of Prometheus going to find the creators or whatever.
You're
Right.
Jacob, you are so spot on. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we'll see what happens next week. I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
It's the wrap up of TransforMAY, man. It's Transform Me for sure as a human being. We'll see how much further it goes.
I would still love to throw Bumblebee in at the end as kind of a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
You know,
I think we're getting to
gonna
that point.
manage
Yeah.
Yeah.
Popular demand.
All right. Normies, we always say, roll out with us, hit us up at normies_like_us. You can find us on social medias there. You can let us know what your Transformer name would be and what you would turn into. I'm a tractor named Long Haul, obviously. Yeah, let us know, because look, we're not going to be doing this forever. We're going to get out of TransforMAY eventually. We love that you've been following along. We love if you're watching these Michael Bay movies too. We're going to cover other stuff coming up, new releases, all that stuff. But as always, you can write to us on those and say, you guys mentioned Avatar. We're all big Avatar fans. We love you did an Avatar episode. We'll do that. We'll listen to you. So hit us up there.
Absolutely.
And I just want to add, this is Optimus Prime. Follow the Normies Like Us on YouTube, or I'll kill you.
Oh my God.
There you go.
Oh, you heard it here first, folks. You don't want Optimus Prime to kill you. So.
You
The
don't
other
want that.
Laserbeak69 comment, Mike. He's saying follow now
He'll
or
suicide
else.
you. Yeah, suicide you. All right. Well, thanks,
been your
Normies.
hosts.
Yep. Go ahead, Colin.
Thank you. We appreciate you following along. We've been your hosts. This is Colin Yeager.
I would be a Honda Element, by the way. And my name would be Pack Mule.
Amazing.
Yeah. Signing off.
I haven't thought of one yet. Maybe for next week. But this is
Hot
Jacob
tub
Yeager.
named Bubbles.
We'll catch you next week, Normies. Bye.
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 Later.